If you're looking for real ways to make extra money, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know, so stick around until the end. Let's get started.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a goal that feels absolutely monumental, but as it turns out, is incredibly achievable. We're talking about how to earn money with consulting and training. And look, if you're sitting there right now with literally zero audience, no email list, and zero revenue coming in, take a deep breath. The insights we're unpacking today prove that starting from absolute zero isn't just a pipe dream. It's entirely possible if you follow a deliberate sequence. Right, so this is the core anxiety, isn't it? That sheer terror of staring at a blank screen, just wondering how on earth you're going to build a business out of thin air. But here's the secret from our source material. Whether you want to work with massive companies or just help everyday individuals, you're essentially building two complementary income streams. On one hand, you've got high-touch advisory work, which is your consulting, and on the other, scalable skill transfer sessions, which is your training. And as you'll see, these two actually feed into each other beautifully. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to cover defining your profitable niche, the corporate route, the individual route, where to find clients, the client attraction engine, and finally, scaling to income. So we're covering both the corporate and individual markets today. Starting with Section 1, defining your profitable niche, the foundation of expertise. Here's the hard truth. You can't just generically sell consulting. It doesn't work. People pay for specific solutions. So regardless of who your audience is, establishing a specialized focus is mandatory. According to our source, here's the exact formula you need. Your skill for a specific audience that helps them achieve a measurable outcome. So instead of saying, hey, I'm a sales consultant, you'd say, I help B2B SaaS companies under $10 million build repeatable outbound sales processes. See how specific that is? You're identifying exactly who has a problem and the literal tangible result you bring to the table. Moving right along to Section 2, the corporate route, solving costly business problems. When you decide to target businesses, you have to remember that companies have budgets specifically set aside to fix really costly problems, things like high turnover or sluggish sales. But corporate training and consulting are sold quite differently. Notice how the offerings are packaged. Training is usually short workshops, a half day or full day, or maybe a multi-session program over 4 to 6 weeks. Basically, you're paid per session to transfer a skill. Consulting, on the other hand, involves diagnostic audits or fractional advisory work. The big takeaway here? For consulting, skip the hourly billing. Propose a flat project fee tied to a clear scope based on the actual value you're delivering. And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating point about your pricing baseline. For a half-day online or on-site workshop, $3,000 is actually a very reasonable floor for small to mid-sized businesses. Now, I know it might be tempting, but please don't undercharge just for exposure. Oddly enough, giving massive discounts makes companies take you less seriously. They just assume your quality is low. You're trying to build a viable business here, not hand out free samples forever. But hey, what if you don't want to deal with companies? Let's look at Section 3, the individual route, solving personal pain points. It's absolutely crucial to understand the strategic contrast in buyer psychology here. A corporation pays to fix a business problem using company money. But an individual, they are paying out of their own pocket, usually after taxes, to achieve a deeply personal aspiration or to find relief from a specific pain. We're talking career advancement, building public speaking confidence, personal productivity, that sort of thing. So the sale is much more emotional. It relies entirely on their belief that you can deliver this personal transformation. Because everyday people aren't usually in the market for generic consulting, your packaging has to shift. You'll be offering things like one-on-one coaching, which is super high touch, usually involving weekly Zoom calls. Down the road, you can definitely scale that into group coaching programs or self-paced video courses. But listen closely to this advice. Start with one-on-one coaching. Doing this lets you deeply, intimately understand your client's biggest struggles and the exact words they use before you ever try to build a scalable group program. For individuals, $500 a month for a 3-month one-on-one coaching package is a fantastic, highly realistic starting point. And a quick warning, avoid the massive pitfall of charging something like $20 a session just to get your foot in the door. Underpricing like that actually attracts clients with really low commitment levels, which is a one-way ticket to burnout. Set a price that makes the work feel genuinely worthwhile for you. Okay, moving to Section 4, where to find clients, the hunting grounds. This is the biggest hurdle for beginners, for sure. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the internet maps out into very distinct hunting grounds. You've got places where people passively consume content, like Instagram and TikTok, which are amazing for visual, personal transformations. Then you've got platforms where people are actively searching with high intent, like YouTube or Google. They're literally typing in how to do something. And finally, you have places where people gather just to talk, like Reddit or Facebook groups. If you're just starting out, your goal is to become the top 1% contributor in those conversational groups. Answer raw questions with extreme helpfulness. Don't spam, just be ridiculously helpful, and people will naturally click your profile to see who you are. Which brings us to Section 5, the Client Attraction Engine, turning strangers into clients. Finding where they hang out is just step one. Now, how do we actually draw them in without sounding salesy or desperate? Well, here is your actionable 4-step attraction plan. Step 1 is the bait, creating an irresistible free lead magnet, like a helpful cheat sheet. Step 2 is the beacon, putting out consistent, value-dense content. Step 3 is the handshake. This means strategic engagement, thoughtfully replying to other people's posts rather than just blasting out cold DMs. And step 4 is the free room, hosting live workshops. The whole philosophy here is just brilliant. You give away the what and the why for free. That makes people trust you, and they become more than happy to pay you for the personalized how. Let's zoom in on step 2, the beacon. To make this work, you need a repeatable content formula. Try rotating these 4 types of posts daily on your main platform. The framework, which proves you actually have a structured system. The controversial take, explaining why common advice is wrong, which is great for standing out. The personal story, because, vulnerability builds real trust. And the client win, because social proof is literally oxygen for your new business. Rotating these daily builds incredible authority and a strong emotional connection. Now, if you want B2C clients right this second, you have to try this. This is a word-for-word outreach script you can use to tactfully tap into your existing network. Send this personal message to maybe 20 or 30 people you already know. It's totally honest, it doesn't sound desperate at all, and offering a reduced rate in exchange for some feedback and a testimonial can honestly fill up your entire first cohort just by itself. But if you're going the corporate route, check out this B2B script. This is cold outreach that doesn't actually feel cold. You find companies that just raised funding or announced a big expansion, and you lead with that. Congrats on the Series A. Then you drop a specific metric you improved for a similar company and gently ask for a brief call. It leverages recent news so perfectly, it almost feels like a warm introduction. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 6, scaling to income, the realistic timeline. We need a visual reality check here so you understand the actual trajectory of all this. In months 1 and 2, you're just defining that niche and tackling those free or reduced rate pilot projects. By months 3 and 4, you're completing your first paid project, maybe bringing in $2,000 to $5,000. By months 5 and 6, you're using those initial case studies to pull in a consistent $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And looking ahead to year 2, by productizing your knowledge into digital courses and keeping a few high-ticket clients, reliably netting $10,000 to $20,000 a month is completely within reach. As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with some really pragmatic reassurance from our source material. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. Look, if you wait around until you feel 100% ready, you're never going to start. Credibility isn't something you wait for, it's something you build by doing the work visibly, out in the open, starting today. So here is my final, slightly provocative question for you. Will you commit to having just one free conversation this week? Stop waiting for permission, reach out, have that one conversation, and finally move this whole venture from just an idea into actual motion. Thanks for exploring this roadmap with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
And that's a wrap. If you found this helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find this content. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video, and check out the one on the screen right now. It might be exactly what you need next. See you there.